I'm alive.
Kind of. Say 80s and all sorts of stuff on there.
Oh yeah.
Full. Yes, I did catch it.
Tonight, I drink cheap beer. Tom strokes some pretty rifles. And Ben washes his eyes out with white spirit.
Hello and welcome to this version of Sons of a Thin Brown Kiwi podcast. Joining me today again is my co-host Mark from the Thin Brown Line and Darren from Sons of Adrenaline. My, how you've grown a beard.
Yeah, married life has sure been hard on him.
I've got a much more sophisticated accent now as well.
Yeah, that's right. Darren couldn't make it tonight. He's got the odd ball and chain holding him back apparently, and so instead we've we've brought in none other than Tom from Anvil Airsoft TV, and that's what it's always been called. As far as I remember,
never been anything else. It's entirely,
never been anything else.
Entirely correct. It's always been AATV. That's entirely right.
AATV. Right. So I feel like we need to change the title of the podcast then.
Sons of a Thin Brown Anvil or something. I don't know.
Thin brown kiwi on an anvil.
Or just, I don't know, Thin Brown Kiwi TV.
Thin Brown. Done.
Right, okay,
We'll fix
brilliant.
it in post.
So, yeah. So, as far as all of you viewing this are concerned, this has just started, but we've just been kind of preambling and figuring out what we're doing, and we believe we actually have some kind of thread that's going to run out throughout this podcast, which is unheard of, because we're normally just throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. But shall we start? Where should we start, actually? Who wants to go first?
Mark, I liked the conversation we had this week, so do you want to bring that up?
Yeah, as obviously you weren't privy to this because me and Tom were talking, but one of my...
Oh, the grown-ups were talking.
One of my team members had just bought himself a rather nice E&L AK. And instantly messaged me and says, "Ooh, what Russian kit do you reckon we'll go with this?" And me being me, you know, anybody who's seen me play, I play in British gear. So when he said what Russian gear, I was like, who do I know that knows his kit? Ah, Tom. So I messaged Tom straight when I was like, right. He's seen this, was it SOATBK Russian kit, I think it was, wasn't it? Special Forces one-off type thing, I think I sent you. And he was looking at that. He'd seen it on, I think he'd seen it on a game, then he'd found some on eBay and ordered some. He says, "What do you reckon to this?" So I asked Tom. Tom's like, yeah, I said the SSO stuff, and it's unissued stuff, wasn't it? So it's the differences between what game makers, for instance, where a lot of younger airsoft players come from, do with like Russian and German and Iranian, whatever countries get kit. I'll put my teeth in kit and gear, as to what an impression loadout is, and then what something intermediary is, like what someone like myself, who's just a walk-on skirmisher, would wear.
Yeah. So the question was interesting. So the question was, my teammates bought a gun. What do you recommend for Russian kit? But that to me, and I put this back to Mark, it's a bit like asking, what British kit should I wear? So you're looking at the whole gamut from, I don't know, let's get extreme, 1875 up to modern day. So how do you define British kit?
Yeah, because it's constantly changing, yeah. And every regiment has a slight different variation on it, and it's the same with any country. Everyone will have something different that they bodge together.
Yeah. So it was developed, and so I then asked a series of questions to Mark, which he then passed on to his teammate, which is about, what is it you're looking to do? What era? What regiment? And what it turned out is effectively Mark's mate wanted to look like the guys from COD.
Yeah, which is sort of a special branch of Spetsnaz, wasn't it? I think it was.
It's not in that. It basically never existed. So the stuff they're using, and what it came down to is the stuff they're using COD was supplied to the developers by a company in Russia called Grey Shop, and Grey Shop are effectively what we would call very equivalent to a military first in this country.
Right.
So it's all generally off the shelf commercial, not military issue gear.
Hang on, but they're the guys who buy the sniper suit from Kicking Mustang, which then gets sold to the Russian Special Forces, right?
Yep, bang on.
Yep, okay.
Yep.
Right, I got it.
You got it.
I'm in. I know where we are now.
As soon as he started that sentence, I was like, "Oh no, here we go."
Okay, so let's just caveat this straight away. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff, and with impression or gear or kit or whatever you want to call it. No matter where you want to be, it's like a spectrum. You know, you could have complete. You could turn up in jeans and a t-shirt, and then you can have 1945 extremely specific British Regiment reenactment here. But where? So the question is, it's about context. Where do you want to fall on that spectrum? So, you know, if you want generic Russian stuff from COD, that's fine. Go to Grey Shop, buy a Gorka, buy a Smersh. You'll be very happy.
Yeah, and away you go.
And away you go. But what is it you actually want to do? And that got me and Mark talking about what's the difference between a kit and a loadout and an impression and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know how you feel about, or if you've got any general thoughts on that, Ben.
So I kind of walk the middle line here because normally when I play skirmish, I used to try and make it as much as possible as a kind of Afghan British loadout.
Okay.
So I was running UBACs. UBAC's MTP stuff. Obviously, I was running SA80 as much as I can make it Afghan spec as possible. Maybe early Afghan, so it was SUSAT and stuff. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to be running a chest rig, so I wasn't running Osprey because, quite frankly, fuck that. That's heavy and hot, and I'm not exactly fit and healthy, and I just sweat balls when I play.
You had made a decision to go. I don't know. So what? 2010, 2015 onwards. So that was almost
kind of
But that was almost But you'd made a decision for a time period.
Yes.
And then within that, you'd made a decision about how accurate do I actually want to be.
Yeah, and I ended up. In fact, I'll show you. Hang on, let me take my headphones off.
Why he does that? So that's what most of us went for. We went for sort of a stripped back 90s British loadout. So. Basically, you know, the rig and
my room
the
sound
clothes
more of a shithole than it already was.
Yeah.
And I ended up running with just a generic rig that I built because it worked for airsoft. I was playing
Is that horrible Farby shit?
What this? Cheap crap that I bought off Military First.
There we go. Perfect.
Military First.
Actually, I think I bought the boot belt at a boot sale, but everything else came from Military First.
So that's the British. Is the British Grey Shop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I was a student at the time. I didn't have that much money, and that cost me about 50 quid to put together.
Again, we can roll into that. So I've got a load of Osprey stuff. I bought it for a video, and I never wear it because it's utterly hideous.
It's heavy. It's hot. It's horrible.
Yeah, we did a video on British Army loadouts from 1903 to 2015.
Yes, I remember that, with some rather nice 58 pattern gear and all sorts of stuff.
And Gadget's brought a load on an incredibly period, because Gadget's done reenactment, he's done living history, he's done Cold War airsoft, and part of his shtick is getting it absolutely bang on.
Oh yeah.
And it was...
he's one of the only people alive to have stormed a beach from a triplomatic ship.
I was just down the pub with him talking about that. Down at Beeston Marina, which is just very near to me, which is hilarious. But isn't that fantastic? They cared that much that they got the gear's wrong, because the gear's Rhine. It's a total aside. You can cut this shit out. But it was the kit they were wearing was it was a reenactment of the Rhine crossing. But Airsoft Action used it as for a reenactment of the D-Day landings, but actually the boots are wrong and all sorts of. But again, this is the level of this is what we're talking about, because.
But for a complete layman, that image on the front of the magazine that he's put a post up on looks perfect.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic image.
Yeah.
It's when you start looking very closely. Yeah.
If you're a stitch counting reenactor and you really care about that stuff, the bits of that gear are incorrect, and it's about. A lot of conversation to have with Mark is what does your teammate want to do? What do they want to wear? What period, I've got modern Russian stuff right next to me here, which is a completely modern issue, but that's not the same as the stuff they had 4 years ago, and it's the same in any army. So anytime you want to do a loadout or a kit, you have to make a decision as to what period, what unit. You talked about it. What regiment? Different regiments have different SOPs on how they shape their beret. You know, so the Paras do it different to the Marines, do it different to the Rifles.
I actually had that. Sorry, I'll just going off on a tangent. I actually had the beret argument with somebody last time I was at my favourite, my favourite and closest skirmish site. Not mentioning any names, but obviously you've all seen me wear my beret, and it's quite a long, loose, fitting side droop, which is how some regiments in the British Army wear them. Obviously, ours is designed not to have anybody go, "You're doing an impression of such and such," or it's just a generic brown beret. But turned up and there was a couple of guys from, I think one of them was a sapper, and he goes, "You're wearing your beret wrong." I'm like, "No, I'm not. You're wearing your beret wrong." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are. We wear ours up here and they're really tight. It's got a perfect crest." I'm like, "Yes, different regiment."
Exactly. You look at, if you look at the
I didn't realise this.
If you look at the Paras at the moment have them like flat caps.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they have it all to the front.
They're basically there.
Yeah. So different regiments have different shaping styles to their berets, and will wear different berets. So even though there is official beret, I'm sure Mark will agree. There's official beret shaping standards.
Yeah, official dress beret shaping standards.
But then a lot of regiments will just completely ignore that, or they'll have a dress beret and they'll have a beret that they actually wear for. Yeah,
they have their own parade beret. So, like you've got, for instance, you've got the bright blue UN beret, which obviously a lot of British regiments wear when they're on UN duties and stuff like that. But then they'll have their own regimental beret. So obviously you'll have a khaki beret or a maroon beret or a green, like a olive green beret, whatever. But they're all shaped slightly differently depending on what regiment you're in.
So if you're doing for me, let's try and not define the words because everyone has different definitions. But an impression is effectively trying to copy exactly or as closely as you can.
Yeah.
Generally, and depending on what unit, if you're talking about doing SAS impressions, you're trying to copy a photo as closely as you can with
a grainy ass photo.
Some of them are pretty good these days, but yeah, I'm working on an SAS impression at the moment.
Ooh.
With some, and that's pretty modern. We're talking, pretty much bang up to date. And I've got some guys that know exactly what the guys in the regiment are wearing, and I'm trying to do that as closely as possible. And part of that is trying to lose weight because I don't want to be an overweight SAS trooper because that will just look ridiculous. But that's part of it, and I'm building my L1199A2 out of a GHK M4. That's going to be. I just bought a fire selector. This is part of the impression. I bought a fire selector today because GHKs can take real steel fire selectors. I bought a Colt full auto real steel fire selector for £85, which is as much as a lot of people will pay for their first gun.
Yep.
I don't think I even paid that.
And that's the level of stupid that you can get to with this stuff. And it is stupid. Let's not beat about the bush. Spending £85 on a fire selector is mental.
Yeah.
But that's where you get to when you start doing impressions because the guns and the gear. I've got £300 plate carrier sitting right there. It's nuts. But to me, it almost comes from. I used to play Games Workshop, and I've done armour modelling, tank modelling, and ship modelling, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's going for the detail.
To me, that it's almost part of that. What I'm trying to do is model that gun and model that kit, and rather than a general. So to me, that's an impression. So that's kind of living history or reenactment standard. But most airsofters don't go for that, and that's probably a very sensible thing.
Yeah, they go for a loadout, which is similar but not the same.
So a good example. So I built up a Vietnam Anzac loadout for a Vietnam game a couple of years ago, and I was on the gunman group, like Cold War group, and I think it was Gadge again saying he sold a pair of olive drab era trousers for like £200 the other week. Yeah. Whereas I just went and bought kind of like the modernish olive drab training trousers and shirt for like £20 total, and from a distance and for the untrained eye.
From 10
no one's
10 feet
know.
away, and in that environment, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
it's olive drab.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And,
all drab,
and
yeah.
what's one of the nice things about the gunman guys, and we've talked about this before, is that they don't really care. As long as you've tried, as long as you're making an effort, and effort is relative to your income and everything else. As long as you've made an effort, as long as you don't turn up in modern gear and you've made an effort, they really don't care as long as you try.
Yeah, because I mean, with the money aspect as well, touching on that, you can nip down like an Anchor Supplies, which I mean, I know you've got one fairly near you, Tom, and I've got
both of them.
Yeah, in fact, yes, they've rebuilt Nottingham one, have they?
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anchor Supplies is a phenomenal
Army surplus.
UK army surplus.
Great.
store.
But
If you ever come up, I'll take you there, and you'll end up buying half the store, Ben.
oh, it's
Yeah,
it's,
I need 68 pattern. That's what
it's like a child in a sweet shop. It is really, but I mean, you can nip down on Anchor Supplies and you can build yourself, actually, you can build yourself an impression kit of what I wear, because I wear a modernised, stripped down version of late 90s generic British Army. So it's DPM, it's olive drab, or DPM pouches and holsters and things like that. But I now wear a plate carrier. But you can go in there and you can pretty much pick up a whole impression kit for next to nothing. In fact,
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Is that
know him,
with Jet?
Tom. Andy.
Jet?
Yes. Jet. I was going to bring this up. So Jet Desert Fox came over when he was over with Kelly Femme Fatale.
Yes,
He went
because they
to
got the
Anchor in-
DDPM.
He went to Anchor in Nottingham and bought pretty much Second Gulf War loadout for about 50 quid from Anchor in Nottingham. Very impression level kit, because it was exactly the right. It was exactly the right stuff.
Well, it's issued gear, isn't it? So
It was all issued gear, and that's the thing. So it's kind of, you don't, to a certain extent, you can spend a lot of money. Trying to do a modern SAS loadout is expensive. Trying to do something from first Gulf War is now getting expensive because the stuff.
yes, yeah.
But, you know, if you're looking
your
at the
mid-90s
2000
stuff's
era,
still cheap.
Yeah, the 2000 era stuff, mid-90s stuff, it really isn't expensive. But it's also, there's just a level of, it depends what you're trying to get out of airsoft. To me, it's what you're trying to recreate, and it's, for most people it doesn't matter, and also that doesn't matter either. It doesn't bother me. It's sometimes it gets a bit weird when you've got a World War II US Marine and a Nazi and a Vietnam man and a VC and some
Pushing
UK
up together.
I don't know. I sometimes get a bit of a dislocation. I'm like, oh my god! But you're like, okay, but this is an open day, so this really actually.
Well, I had a similar
matter.
sort of thing a couple of weeks ago. There was a guy. It was a fairly impression kit he was wearing, Russian, and he had a whacking grit RPK with a box mag on it and everything, and he looked brilliant. Right next to him was a German stormtrooper with, what was it? It was one of the German LMGs, but they were storming up side by side. They were just storming up side by side, and it's like, nowhere in the world other than Airsoft will you see something like this. Followed by Santa.
Yeah, because why not?
So
Got to deliver all those presents.
So that's partly why I don't generally do open days unless I've got a commercial agenda, because I need a bit of, these days, after 20 years of playing, I need a bit of immersion to keep me going. But I think what we're trying to say is, Mark, what we're trying to say is have a think.
Yeah.
Have a think about, if you want a Russian loadout, what does that actually mean? And if that means the stuff they're wearing in the very recent COD Modern Warfare, that's totally cool.
Yeah,
that's absolutely fine. And then also I said to Mark, just make sure he doesn't go on a Russian impression group with that loadout, because they're not going to be not going to be polite in the slightest.
No, I mean, all he's actually been out and done is he's gone. You know, the Slav squat style. He's bought that vest that I showed you. He's bought a brown, because of the team, a brown ski mask, and had the proper inserts put in it, so it's safe for airsoft, and that's what he's going to wear with DPM.
DPM's not that inaccurate, because it's been used in Russia, so they had
very, very similar. Yes,
Russia seemed to steal a lot of our stuff
everything,
and
so,
just use it.
Recently with the rapid program, and
you've got the Afrikaans, you've got Australians. They've all worn variations of DPM anyway, so quite a few different nationalities you can wear. I wouldn't say impression, but you know, a close-ish idea of, and you won't be far wrong anyway.
Yeah, so
One of the things I found out when I was trying to find a suit site for the SLR, that the Russians basically got hold of a suit site and just cloned the shit out of it and made it a standard issue optic.
BKBO. It's in COD actually.
Yeah.
It's the three times that.
Three times.
The three times
We're
in
talking the
COD
newest
is
COD because I've not played it.
Yeah, yeah. So
No, but-
so that is pretty much It's a SUSAT clone. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was really tempted to just try and find the Russian one because it'd no doubt probably be cheaper.
Yeah. Quite possibly better made as well.
The Russians have used all sorts of random, because it was very regional, and particularly, and then the different satellite states, so everyone had different. They've gone a lot more homogenous now.
Yeah.
But if you say I want to be a Russian soldier, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we need a bit more context. You either need a bit more.
Especially if you're talking pre fall of the Soviet Union, because you've got all of the Warsaw Pact that all had different things.
Yeah, so it's just, and that's phenomenal opportunity to individualise your stuff.
Yeah.
But also it's incredibly difficult. In the British Army, at least had a vague form of DPM from, when was it, the late 60s onwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much every regiment wore DPM.
Something.
That was it.
Something. Whereas Russia have just gone completely mental.
Basically, effectively, what we're trying to say is, if you say I want to want to be a German soldier, want to be a Russian soldier, want to be British, you might as well just say, tell me what a soldier looks like.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're best off for me going on just Googling some stuff. Or just think about an era that you're interested in, or a film or something you're interested in. And then go, okay, I want to be in Afghanistan, I want to be in the fall of the Soviet Union, I want to be in Syria, I want to be in, and then we can base stuff off. And the other side is Mark's teammate bought a gun, it's an airsoft gun. That airsoft gun is actually quite specific to certain units. And again, this is quite geeky knowledge, but okay, so this has rails on, it has this stuff on. That means that if you want to do an accurate kit, you're already limiting what is it you want to do. So that the gun that Mark's mate is using is effectively,
It's the 102, isn't it?
effectively limited to it's an ENL 74, AKS 74, but it has Zenit rails on. So if you're doing that, you're looking at a Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz just means special purpose, but you're looking at an SSO Spetsnaz GRU unit from 2015 onwards. But he doesn't want to. So just if you don't care, you don't care. But if you do care, just think about your context and what you want to do, and what units you might want to portray. And if you don't care, brilliant. Airsoft is a very broad church.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, that's why when myself, Matt, and Steph formed Thin Brown Line, and people were saying, if we're part of the team, is there a specific loadout we should wear? We just said no, just British DPM, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
We did the same with the LFO in 2000. A long time ago. So LFO is the Lantern First and Only, which was the Games Workshop team. So we went to Games Workshop head office, and we wore Flecton. So it was Flecton, and then that was really the only. Just wear Flecton. Now, actually, if you look at, and it's a very similar thing to Mark, and actually, some people took that to let's do a German army impression.
Yeah, some went nuts.
Some went nuts and went right down that path. Some people just went, I'm just going to wear Flecton and use any old vest and any old gun. So it doesn't really matter, does it?
Like I say, we pretty much. I mean, myself and Matt are probably the most stickler-esque out of us, because me and Matt, all of our gear that we wear is either olive drab or DPM.
Yeah.
And then obviously we wear our brown berets, which are always on our heads at a game, just because. I got told off for wearing it when I was marshalling as well. So I went out and brought a bright orange one instead. Bright orange beret.
Every time I've got a bright orange photographising hat. And
Yeah,
every time
you still
I wear
get
that,
shot.
I still get shot. I get shot more wearing that hat than I do anything else.
Yeah, that's one thing I had noticed from marshalling. You get shot a lot more when marshalling than you do when you're playing. And my wife says, why do you get shot more?
So Ben, have you been part of a team? Have you had a loadout or?
So I used to. At uni, I ran the society in my final year. We had an airsoft society, but But we never really had a defined uniform because we never played anything seriously. We'd turn up for a Milsim and have fun. I mean, one of our guys used to go around with a Bluetooth speaker in his back in his dump pouch, blaring out Ride of the Valkyries. In fact, one of the times he set himself the challenge of every time the Soviet national anthem would come on, he'd have to stand to attention and salute and see how long it was before he got shot. I've actually I've just pulled up. It's my cover photo is still from back when I was in uni. Just looking through it's a photo of a group of us from I think it was game day against Cardiff Uni, and we're just this mismatch of all sorts. We've got one guy in Desert DPM. There's a couple of us in DPM. So I think I'm the closest to having a impression loadout because I'm running L85 DPM and some form of webbing. But I've never really been in a point where we all have to wear the same thing. I think the closest to it was when we ran our open days. Well, not our open days. Our advertising days to try and get more people to join the society. It was wear some form of camouflage trousers and your society black shirt, and that's it, a black t-shirt. On the other hand, I know for a fact Cardiff Uni, in Force, you have to wear their dress code. You have to wear their game shirt for every game you go to with them, and you have to be wearing their pre-approved camo, which for a uni society I think is a bit strict, especially seeing as they're just going to open play games, and it kind of limits who's actually allowed to go.
It can make things cheaper. The main reason we went with Flex on is it was amazingly cheap in surplus shops.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
but I think
now it's getting harder to find.
You can sort yourself out for £20, which is like.
But I think they'd gone for some specific camo that the president at the time liked, and it was actually quite expensive stuff. Yeah. But hey ho. But now I'm seeing as I live 30 minutes drive from Tundenham and have yet to play there. I'm trying to sort out not only my kit, but I'm trying to sort out a couple of my mates' kits so we can all go and actually play a Cold War game day there and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason we all went for DPM, because I still had some, and because Matt, one of his other pastimes is an actual hunter, he already had some, so was like, oh, we've already got DPM, let's wear DPM.
And DPM is cheap because there's so much of it in surplus at the moment.
Oh yeah, there is a lot. You do need to visit an Anchor Supplies. You just bring money.
There are games that you go to where having not an impression loadout, but being fairly close to a kit list is really quite important. So Cold War, you don't need to be exact, but you need to look vaguely like an 80s British infantryman or a Soviet rifleman. There you go, with one of them bad boys over. If you go to a Sterling game or a good Milsim, there'll be kit lists there for you. So it's almost a when you but if you decide to do something a bit different from an open skirmish day, generally there will be rules, and you do get people turn. We played a game in Korea with Sterling. This is like 2005, and they were kind of cool with us playing. We're using Flex on because we turned up. There was 30 of us, so they were like, fine, that's fine. But there were people that turned up in British SO19 gear.
Oh right, Jesus!
And three of them and wanted to be there. And you're like, this is come on, guys. This is meant to be Korea. Now they're not being exact about the uniform rules, but driving around wearing British police gear really isn't gonna. And there's three of you isn't gonna cut it. And it's just sometimes and it's kind of an aside, but slightly annoys me sometimes because when I started, we just didn't wear bands. There was no red team, blue team. You divided the teams on what you were wearing.
Yeah.
So Flecton over here, DPM over here, or even to the point where we used to take two shirts.
So you could change.
You could literally just change because there were £5 shirts. It really didn't matter whether I was wearing a desert top or a woodland top or a DPM top.
Yeah.
I had a change of shirt in my bag.
Now you'd have 23 different teams.
Yeah.
And then you get the complex questions of, oh well, is MTP green or is it tan? All this stuff.
And me trying to, and for me, and it's just another boring old man rant. I fucking hate tape. I just fucking hate it.
I get that. Yeah.
Trying to stare through a bush, going, has he got a red armband on or a blue? I just like, my immersion's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah.
Straight, it's just gone, right? I wonder, what gun has he got? What kit is he wearing? What silhouette am I shooting at? That's cool. Does he have blue on? Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'll tell you what's really annoying. So I'm red-green colourblind.
Are you? Okay.
I am red-green colourblind.
Oh,
which
Jesus, that makes life really hard.
really fucking
You'd be
does.
screwed at our site then because our bands are red or green.
So well, the thing is, for me, right, red and green, I can tell them apart easily enough if they're up close, but in the distance, they just fade into nothingness. Like, not nothingness, but it's just, they all kind of seem the same to me.
It's
and
just
light.
a stripe.
Yeah, so like a red or green light in the distance just appears white to me.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
The other issue with bands is, especially when there's someone like me, because I always roll my sleeves up on my DPM top. Always have, always will. Well, the bands never fit properly, and a lot of people, they slip down and they drop into the crease, so you're no longer wearing a band.
Then you get snipers who don't like wearing bands.
Or they'll wear them on their ankles.
When they're ankle, they can just fuck off, can't they?
Yeah, they just say like, "Oh, I'll just put it on my ankle because then."
No,
you fuck off.
No. Where I play and now Marshall, they have to be visible. But like I said, that's the issue I have, because I always roll up my sleeves. What I've taken to doing instead is I hook it through some of the molly on my vest.
Yeah,
so you can actually see it on my shoulder. Yeah, usually about here. Because if I stick it on my arm, with running and moving and stuff, it drops down and it sits in the 2-inch turn up I've got.
Yeah.
So it disappears and then I end up getting team killed.
The thing that annoys me about bands is when they're not bands and they just use tape. Because I'll go out for the first game and I'll be wearing my shirt and I'll put tape on, and about halfway through it I'll be like, you know what, I'm too hot like this. I'll take my shirt off to run just the t-shirt underneath. I'll be like, oh fuck, I've got no tape now.
Yeah.
Or
they've done it that tight, you tear your arm off while you're doing it.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Well, and so maybe we can go back, but that's another topic. But I've seen people like Phoenix Airsoft, who are just down the road from a place that Mark goes to. They use very bright fluorescent player bands.
They are proper bright, aren't they? They're actually day glow.
But to a certain extent, that works quite well because everyone is at the same disadvantage. Because blue is way less visible than red.
Red, yeah. And some sites, right, you go and they'll be like, right, you guys are blue, you guys are red. And then they're like, oh, we don't have enough armbands. All right, you're banded and you're not banded. It's like, hang on a minute here. That's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that's why site I play at, we try to keep it red and green.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
If they, I mean, okay, yes, they've only got a limited number of bands. So, for instance, this weekend coming where they've got a big Sunday where it is just a lot of airsofters, they won't have enough bands. So there will be a banded and a skins team.
It's not about skirmish because it's quite linear games.
Yes.
Generally, everyone pointing that way is a good guy, and everyone pointing this way is a bad guy. So it's really not. It's really not too much different. It's not. But
unless you've got us on, unless you've got us on who tend to get behind the enemy rather quickly, and then they kind of look around, going, "How the hell did they get there?"
So how do we sum this up? I think so. Context. It's all about context.
Yeah, it's all about context and do your research. If you're going for specifics, Google it.
Yeah,
but
Google is your best friend.
Google Image is fantastic, and there's the absolute ton of stuff. So, and it's fine to ask questions. I think, but just do a little bit of research first.
And on the other side of things, if you're this guy who knows everything about all the kits, don't be a dick to people asking questions.
Absolutely right.
And don't be a dick to people who don't have as much money to can't buy the exact kit and are just trying to build as close as possible.
Isn't it? That is the airsoft mantra. Don't be a dick.
No, I think Ben, that's a really important point.
Yeah.
Because not everyone has the knowledge that you do. Not everyone has the information that you do. I think the only thing that gets annoying is when people have spent zero effort just trying to learn before they ask the question.
Yeah. Buy this gun.
Those kind of people who go on the airsoft forums and just say, "I've bought this gun. What do you think of it?"
but even just here's a picture I found of some kit I really like. What is it? Okay, cool. That's cool because you've at least you've done your basics.
Yeah.
And if you want to do an impression, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah. So I guess we've defined kind of like 3 categories. You've got the kind of casual players who just turn up and whatever. Then we've got the kind of middle ground where people try and build a kit that vaguely looks like right, and from a distance is fine.
Let's call that a loadout.
A loadout,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Inspired loadout, I'd say.
Inspired loadout, yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got your impressioners who go and do a lot of research and are willing to spend the time and the money and build it up as exactly as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair because again,
I think all those people should be nice to each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing a game where we're throwing little plastic balls at each other. As says this. Oh, sorry.
Put him away. Cool.
One of my team members bought me this.
Nice.